by people suffering. But this is just trash of pretense. If you are like that, you know, you have heard people talk about values, you see our values, blah, 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 but it's a lot of nonsense. If you have the power of everything, whether political, money, or whatever, and then every day you're talking about values and so on and so forth, and even want to teach others how to respect values, yet you are the cause of the suffering, and you are the cause of the perpetuation of that. What kind of pretense is this? And you can't just, so when you see these people, you know, coming out with a lot of anger on this and talking about, you see us, you've made a mistake, we are going to do this. In the end, all they are doing is adding more suffering to the suffering that is already there. It's not actually addressing any problem. So Goma, but if anyone wants Goma, that's fine. For whatever reason, whether it is ritual or, you know, some believe in witchcraft, they want to go and pray in Goma and meet their witch doctors there and so on and so forth. Still, you know what? Goma it's not functional as of now, but it is in the hands of some people. You go and talk to them. But if I were the one, now let me be myself, let me tell you a story. If I were the one, you come and I'm the one controlling Goma, and you come to say, I want to use Goma. I say, fine. But these are conditions. Goma is part of my problems that I face with the government. And now it is in my hands. I will not give it to you until you show me, alongside that, how you address my problems. Well, I may sound speaking for these guys, but I'm just reasoning. If I were the one, you want Goma, you want Kavumu, or Bukavu, or you want the whole of Eastern Congo back, fine. I have no problem with that. It will only come with you addressing my problems. Yeah, you understand? In my long history, in my judgment, that is what I learned over so many years of fighting for my rights and for, you know, people have, they sacrifice, they do what, but unless they have no reason they are sacrificing, that's a different issue. But if they are, everything should be put together. You want this, I'll give it to you. I have no problem. But we came to this point because of this reason. So if you don't address that reason, how do you just expect to cause problems? And then you come and say, you know, and this I'm saying because, again, for me, what you see is what you get. We used to tell the Congolese from the beginning, when, we would be in the discussion, and it's like you see leaders behaving like, it's like, you must do this, you must do that, and they are the cause of problems. So I used to tell the leaders of Congo that asking, or in order for us to have security in our country and have peace, and that we have fought for so many years in the past, it's a must. We must give each other peace. I can't ask anybody for peace as a favor they are doing to me. No. For us to have peace, I beg you, and you have to do me a favor to give me my peace. That's a different world I don't live in myself. I cannot ask anybody to do me a favor to have Rwanda secure or to have my right. Well, initially maybe I can ask you to do a favor, tactically. I can say, please, I beg you, I can even kneel down if you want. But if you don't give me my right, then it means a fight. We will fight, no question about it. So there is no way, where I'm concerned, you can do me a favor for my right. Who are you after all? Who are you to have everything, including my own right, that you can control? How? Who are you? What gives you that right or power to be able to do that? So I've given you more than you really wanted, but Goma is part of the problems we have in Eastern Congo. And yes, Goma should go back to its operations as an airport. But what is it that stopped it being so in the first place? So you must address that. You want to address humanitarian crisis. I agree. There must be a way of doing it, taking on board the fact that there is what is causing the humanitarian crisis, and that must be addressed. Right? So, anything else about Goma?
Well, somehow there is also another side of the whole story that has been kept repeated, especially now it's still alive in Europe. It's about the looting of minerals and all of that. I mean...
Again, that is nonsense.
Exactly.
They looted minerals better than anybody, worse than anybody I know of in history. So would you even listen to that? Minerals? Minerals, they sell minerals in, what is it? In Antwerp, in where is?
Antwerp. Diamonds.
Diamonds.
But there are no
Do they produce diamonds? Or they have gold, bullions they took long ago and they are adding more? Do they have a lot of gold really? Do they have gold mines? These Europeans? They take it, okay. To make their case even simpler or less than it is, they may even say, no, but we the gold or the diamonds or whatever we have is brought by legitimate people, okay? Would you believe that? But that legitimate, when they are there, they are the legitimate ones. So, but this whole thing, why do you think, by the way, there is something to do with there is an MOU actually we're supposed to be having with Europe, which involves, I think, and a lot has been worked on about traceability and so on and so forth, okay? Rwanda got involved in that and passed every stage and standard that was expected on that. Now, what is funny and contradictory is, at some point, then DRC goes to Europe and says, no, don't sign anything with, but how do you not sign anything that was supposed to be transparent and show where the minerals are coming from or who is involved? So on one hand, you want to be clear that there is nothing except that Congolese always passed through here, and some sold it here to Rwandans who went and sold it to somebody else. Others, they said it through Burundi, through Uganda, through the neighbors. But it is only Rwanda that was picked on about minerals. Simply because, I think with the audience back home in Europe, they listen more to these accusations. The more they hear of them, then the more questions they raise about Rwanda. Whether what they are saying is happening or has happened or not. So minerals, really think, okay, FDLR, that actually at some point was in control of Goma, or the surroundings of Goma. Why are they found to be innocent in the whole equation? And yet every day we point out things to do with FDLR. But they are not interested. They say, no, they are few, they are... Well, if they think they are few, they should come here. We will take we give them face-to-face conversation with those that have been brought from Eastern Congo recently. They will tell them the stories. But do you think they even want to do that? Haven't some of you journalists, maybe, I hope you're also not selective about what you want to know. Haven't you asked to go and meet these people who have been brought from Congo, the FDLR, to tell you their stories that show you how they are so embedded and intertwined with the Congolese forces and other systems of government? So that plays behind the scenes role, and you don't see it at the forefront being talked about. In fact, some of these FDLR have been doing mining in Eastern Congo. Where do they take their minerals? Maybe those are the minerals that end up in Europe, but they would rather hold Rwanda responsible based on the stories around minerals. What sense does it make? You know, don't... sometimes we overrate people. We overrate them in a sense. We think they have, when it has been said by Europeans or by this, then it must be true. But these are the things they get involved in. Petty things. And without borders. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one more question about Goma from Romain Gras of Jeune Afrique. The question says, President Macron said on the sidelines of the G20 that the M23 and those who control Goma airport have not made the necessary effort to reopen it, stating that the administrative conditions have been met by the DRC. What steps need to be taken to achieve progress on the airport issue?
Well, I don't know what is being referred to as the government of DRC having met what? I don't understand. That they met what?
The administrative needs.
What administrative need? To the best of, I don't know what, first of all, the meaning of what he had said. For example, are you aware that the airspace in eastern Congo is actually closed? You can't overfly. You have people flying from wherever, whether South Africa or going there. Planes don't overfly eastern Congo because DRC government closed the airspace. Now you want to open an airport in a closed airspace, and he says somebody has met the standards, administrative standards. I don't understand the meaning of it. Second, those M23 and others who control what? Who control them? You mean M23 who control or M23 and others?
And those who control.
Ah, okay. Could I equate it with saying, maybe he wouldn't like that, the government of DRC, the FARDC, and FDLR. FDLR actually has a big control in that area. They are being fought every day by the M23, even before those who control the airport come in. So would President Macron wish to say something about FDLR? I don't think so. You know the reason? There is a whole story about FDLR and those others from Europe who talk about the airport, those others who control it other than M23. There are those others from Europe who control FDLR. That's why they are always quiet about FDLR. You see always when issues about Eastern Congo, about Rwanda backed M23, and then when FDLR, they are really whispering. They don't even want anybody to hear it. And then for government of DRC, it's some individuals who get involved in these wrong things. It's not the government. I mean, this selective way of presenting issues and even wanting to address matters sensitive like that based on how you have selected to handle it. I think it becomes part of the problem, by the way. That's why I was saying those others, other than those who control the airport, but from Europe, have been part of this problem as of origin of 31 years ago tragedy we had here. You've been associated with that. Maybe with time, when if those things keep coming up, and the way they have been, we will say more about that. I think if they think we can be silenced to not talk about their historical role and responsibility in matters of tragedy here in Rwanda, and which crossed into Congo, and people are there, you see hate speech, you see all kinds of by leaders. And those others in Europe tend to minimize it and don't even want to talk about it. But then they talk about Goma, M23, and the others who control it. Who control both? I mean, I guess they mean who control M23 and who control Goma. Yeah, but there are those others also who control from the same place where the voice came, who control government of DRC and control FDLR. And that's why FDLR, people keep quiet about it. But, well, if they want us to roll back the whole efforts of the understanding of how we should relate based on their involvement in the tragic history of this country and the region, they are welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next question for Lionel.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Lionel Nditelier from Pan-African Review. My question will be about Africa's security in more broader terms. At the recent Land Forces Commander held in Kigali, you noted that Africa still faces the world's the most active conflicts, and that the response is constrained by external bureaucracy and decisions made afar, even when speed and autonomy are needed. At the same time, Rwanda's interventions in Mozambique and Central Africa show us what African-led solution can achieve when partners trust each other and act decisively. So in light of these contrasting realities, what do you think are the reforms required for Africa to be able to strengthen its capacity to respond on its own terms? And how do you see Rwanda's interventions or partnership shape that future?
Yeah, it's an important question, but very difficult. Again, I think if I remember the saying, you can take horses to the well to drink water, but you can't force them to drink. You take them there, but it is the horses to drink the water anyway. If they don't want, you can only stand by and watch, isn't it? So I think Africans, we have everything. We have the water in front of us, and we are thirsty, we should be drinking. But we find an excuse for not drinking the water. I don't think we need anybody coming and whipping us into that. So when the Africans decide to drink the water that they actually badly need, I have no medicine. I can't. The only thing we try to do when we collaborate with our brothers and sisters on the continent, like in Mozambique or Central African Republic, or participate in other efforts, we are only trying to say, we can drink the water. We are actually drinking the water based on our thirst for it. And then it's like saying, why don't you? Telling somebody else, why don't you quench your thirst? So, I don't know. There is nothing Africa doesn't have, actually. All these things, or these areas where we fall short, I can only be surprised and say, why? Why do we keep falling short on everything, including the provision for security for our people? When you have the people, we have the resources, we have the knowledge, we have... what is it that Africa doesn't have? Tell me. We have good weather, maybe that's what spoils you. We have... what don't we have? Numbers, we have 1.4 billion people on our continent. So what do we want? What else do we want? Or what do we lack? So that is, this is it's a pathetic situation. Yeah. I don't think I have helped you to understand what you can do, but not for lack of trying. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. We take one question and then go to break from Anangwe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Eugene.
Maybe why don't we continue a little bit, then maybe another 15 minutes and then take a break.
Eugene Anangwe, we're CEO, founder, East Africa Media Group, and the Africa Leadership and Dialogue Institute. Mr. President, my question is on leadership. And I listened to you keenly at the recent Unity Club forum, where you challenged Rwandan leaders to reflect on what's holding Africa back. And I remember you talking about feeling that this is linked to leaders who pursue individual gains. For the close to 20 years I've been in Rwanda, I reflected on this, especially listening to people who have been serving in different quarters. And when someone tells them, "Nukomeza bucho, urisanga kuri yellow paper," and they say, "Reka, reka, 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 reka." And the reka, reka, reka is not because they don't want to serve, but because of the pressure to deliver that leaders in this amazing country go through.
The pressure to deliver without apology.
Exactly,
yeah.
Yes. And this brings me to the question of your style of achieving this culture. I know of countries where people will kill each other to get those positions of leadership. But here, not everybody can take that pressure to deliver without apology. So if you were to deliver a lecture at President Kagame's School of Leadership, what would those three things be that you would say about this subject of servant leadership that happens in this country? And then the East African community, the momentum seems to have died out. Checking on ground, people feel like it's not the same pressure, the same momentum that was there. I know in this room, half of the people might not know who's the current chair of the ESC Heads of State Summit. It's not like long ago where there was a lot of hype around this. something must have happened, Mr. President. I don't know if you also feel the same. What is that that might have happened? And what do we need to do to be able to bring back that momentum that we had about this fastest growing regional economic bloc? Thank you.
Well, to start with the last, I think you hire different people. You hire different leaders and see if they can. But leadership is a broad subject and always discussed in every corner and part of the world. It doesn't mean one thing. Many people have different definitions or interpretations of what should happen. I'll give you my take. It's so simple. First, leadership isn't about just serving yourself and being proud that you've done something for yourself, except you can do that